Hey everybody, it's Nick from Android Headlines, and this is our review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. There are big phones, and there are popular phones, and then there's Samsung's Galaxy line. This family line is the same one that started the big phone trend 6 years ago, and now Samsung is skipping a number to bring parity with its Galaxy S series, and ultimately to show what a big jump this phone is in many ways over its predecessors. Starting off with the build, we're looking at a familiar design, but one that's still unique in many aspects from the rest of the metal and glass Galaxy phones we've seen of late. Like the Galaxy S7 Edge, the Galaxy Note 7 features a screen with dual curved edges on the front. However, unlike the S7 Edge, these curves are actually pretty small and don't work quite like the curves found on these previous generations of Galaxy phones. Aesthetically, it's incredibly pleasing looking because of this, and it definitely helps enhance the screen's beauty, without a doubt, but ultimately it's just not as useful as the ones on the Edge branded devices because the curve is so small. All the Edge features from the Galaxy S7 Edge are here, but instead of being displayed on the side of the display, it's simply just sitting on the front, and the only reason you really know there's an edge here is because you can feel both the curve as you slide your finger over it, as well as see that slight curving over the content as it makes its way around this edge. Matching this front-sided edge is a backside one, which creates a perfectly symmetrical body, and one that's not just pleasing to the eye, but feels absolutely perfect in the hand. This is one seriously beautiful phone, and the materials here are absolutely top-notch. Word of warning though, this beast is slippery as heck, and if you're brave enough to handle it without a case, you might want to take out an insurance policy on it, because not only is this phone a whopping $850 to purchase, not including tax, but that screen alone is going to cost in upwards of around $250 to fix if it breaks. Bottom line, while the phone looks beautiful, you'd best get a case, unless you've got a lot of cash to blow. Keeping the hardware intact also keeps that IP68 water and dust resistance intact too, a first for any Galaxy Note phone and one that again brings it to parity with the Galaxy S7 family. Even the S Pen is water and dust resistant this time too, and magically works even when the screen is wet. This of course isn't magic at all, as the S Pen uses a Wacom digitizer to provide boatloads of functionality, which we'll cover in a little bit. Such water resistance on a phone that's made almost entirely of glass, though, can be a bit superficial. However, it's likely that most people will get that case and keep this one from harm, making it incredibly useful as a part of your life you won't have to worry about getting wet. This does also mean that you can use the camera portion of the phone underwater, but you'll need to trick it a little bit to do so. As noted in the Galaxy S7 Edge review, taking pictures and video underwater is definitely possible, but it will only work randomly, as the touch part of the digitizer on the screen also responds to the touch of water, meaning once it's submerged, the water will randomly touch parts of the screen. In my experience, this means a few seconds of underwater recording or picture taking before all sorts of crazy things start to get pressed. But it's possible to cobble together little Snapchat-style stories with this sort of thing and take some brand new photos and videos that you might never have been able to before. Speaking of camera, Samsung has finally hit the nail on the head for me personally, something that I didn't actually expect after the Galaxy S7 Edge review, given that this is the exact same hardware as that phone. Overall, this is a pretty significant improvement over the Galaxy S7, and yet all the other positives of the experience are here too. Ultra-fast focus within milliseconds happens thanks to that new dual-pixel sensor. Unbelievable low-light performance is definitely the norm here, not the exception by any means. And balanced, overall amazing-looking photos are something you'll quickly get used to as you slide yourself under that banner of Note 7 ownership. Video mode is nothing short of mind-blowing and delivers crisp 4K video with HDR functionality and optic stabilization as well. Samsung did overhaul quite a bit of the camera software here though, so this may explain why the camera itself looks and feels better than the one on the Galaxy S7 family. In general, there's no camera on the market that delivers better performance or beauty than this one, even if some might trump it in one area or another. This is one incredibly well-rounded camera that excels in more areas than it falls short in without a doubt. There is one pretty big negative feature of the camera though, but it actually extends to the entire phone itself too. Speed, performance, and stability weren't exactly cream of the crop for me. Many times I found videos to be jittery when first starting, modes would sometimes take a long time to switch to, and the camera as a whole took double the time to start as the Galaxy S7 family of phones did. I found that the camera crashed on me a handful of times during the past week or so since we'd begun our full review process, and a few times this one really ticked me off. It's not just the camera that has issues though, it's the entire system as a whole. Samsung's new Grace UX is a beautiful new redesign that Samsung has needed to make for years now, And while it's right in line with what we would expect visually from a modern smartphone, it's absolutely nowhere near the performance one should expect from a device sporting these specs and price. Much like the Galaxy S7 family, the Galaxy Note 7 is powered by a Snapdragon 820 CPU for US phones, or an Exynos 8890 for pretty much every other region worldwide. 4 gigs of RAM is the base spec, and there's even going to be a 6 GB version available in certain regions. 64 gigs of internal storage with micro SD card support is here too. All this adds up to a phone that should be lightning fast, and the Note 7 was anything but that in our experience most of the time. Nearly every action on the phone was hampered by a stuttering feeling that Samsung owners have had to deal with for years, and many times it would take seconds to load apps, go back to the home screen, or even just type a message. Upon further investigation, there seems to be some sort of issue keeping that CPU at least at 50% base usage at all times while that screen is on, effectively cutting the performance of this device in half. This is definitely a solvable issue, but one that I most certainly would not tolerate as a consumer right now, especially if I had just spent upwards of $900 or so on this phone. All the usual troubleshooting steps, including uninstalling apps, factory resetting, and all that kind of thing, were performed to no advantage. There's definitely a big problem here on the back end, and I've found quite a few other complaints around the web detailing this too. Samsung has to fix these performance issues because they're essentially the only real large negative to this phone, but one that is absolutely a user experience killing one. This also affects battery life too, and really makes it worse than it should be, although thanks to that massive 3500 mAh battery underneath the hood, the Note 7 still has some pretty good battery life regardless, giving me an average of 3 hours or so of on-screen time during those heavy use days. Fast wireless charging is also available as well, just as on the S7 family, and can charge the phone from empty in under 2 hours, while that wired charging will drop that down to just a little over 1 hour. Moving on from these rough notes, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the phone, which honestly is an entirely positive experience overall. We've given you reviews of the S Pen itself, Samsung's defining factor of the Note series, and that brand new iris scanner and how well it works, so go ahead and check out those individual review videos for more in-depth information on these two key components of the Galaxy Note 7. If you'd rather not do that though, just know that the S Pen works better than ever, with a new thinner tip, more functions, and better ergonomics. And that this new iris scanner is everything it was cracked up to be, although functionally it doesn't necessarily replace the fingerprint scanner, simply because it doesn't make sense in every single scenario. While of course there are some areas where the Note 7 might not be the best, that screen on the phone is absolutely the best on the market, hands down, no contest. It's not just the curve that makes this one so pleasing though, it's the actual technology inside the panel that really does it. This Quad HD Super AMOLED panel isn't any plain old OLED panel. It features brand new HDR technology that Samsung has been working into its TVs in recent history, and provides the absolute widest range of colors and brightness you could possibly imagine. So many times during the review, my jaw just dropped while watching videos, and if it wasn't native video taken with the camera on the back, it was watching true HDR video via Amazon Prime in the form of something like Man in the High Castle or any of the other HDR shows that Amazon offers, and soon content from Netflix and Vudu will as well. Scorching brightness makes it ultra easy to see outdoors, and there's still that fantastic always-on display that's now been enhanced with the ability to pin notes taken from the S Pen too. Lastly, we'll discuss VR performance and sound quality, which are still among the best on the market. Samsung's Gear VR experience is nothing short of the best thing you're going to get on the mobile side of these things right now, and that new headset is nothing short of fantastic. With great 3D performance and a library of content that's a mile long, there's no better place to turn in the mobile world than the Gear VR. Likewise, that sound output is great as well, although not quite as close to perfect as Samsung got with their Wolfson chipsets last year. An overall high-quality audio experience awaits users, especially ones with an audio system supporting 24-bit playback, and you'll not likely be disappointed in what Samsung is delivering here. After all this, what's the final verdict? Once Samsung can fix those huge performance issues we saw, this will absolutely be the best phone made this year so far when comparing features and hardware quality. Will there be other phones that fit certain niches better? For sure, and that price is going to be a massive turnoff for plenty of buyers. And honestly, not everyone's going to need all this sort of functionality. Samsung's Galaxy S7 Edge seems to be the better buy overall, but those wanting the best of the best and aren't afraid to drop nearly $1,000 on a phone might just get the best experience around once those bugs are worked out. We hope you enjoyed that review and will subscribe to us for more weekly content. Check us out on your favorite social network, and don't forget to check out AndroidHeadlines.com for 24/7 Android-based news coverage. Thanks for watching, and until next time.